In my view, the dollar is about to become dethroned as the world's de facto currency, basically. I'll just tell you how I come to that conclusion so quickly. The new president of China, his name is Xi Jinping. His first visit on the day of his becoming president was at his request to meet with Mr. Putin. And he immediately made a deal with Mr. Putin to get all the oil that he needs, which he can buy in renminbi. Now, the big part of the US dollar being the world's reserve currency is that at the time that Nixon gave up the gold standard, he had Henry Kissinger as his advisor, and Dr. Kissinger very, very brilliantly convinced the Saudis that they must sell their oil in US dollars. And that's the way the US dollar became the reserve currency of the world, because everybody needed oil. The only oil that was available in those days, we didn't have shale. We had the shale. We didn't have the brilliance in how to use it. But everybody needed oil, and they had to buy it with US dollars. And that's how the dollar got to where it is today. It's about to become dethroned as the world's de facto currency. The closing words that the reporters reported from Xi Jinping and Mr. Putin was shaking hands, and we have an international partnership that is very important. So you've got China and Russia, and we've seen it now in the Syrian thing. I could not think of something more ridiculous than trying to solve the Syrian thing by throwing a missile out from the Mediterranean and not knowing how many innocent people you're going to kill because somebody killed innocent people. It makes no sense at all, but that was Mr. Obama's game, and he was going to do it. Frankly, the Israelis have bombed Syria 4 times in the last 24 months. You never read about it in the newspaper. They took out their nuclear plant. They took out 3 warehouses of chemical weapons. No need for a missile. They just sent in jets with pilots who dropped bombs. So the dollar's becoming dethroned as far as I'm concerned. In 1929, the supply of paper money was limited because it was backed by silver. Our current dollar, US, is backed by nothing. So people would use the dollar because they could turn it in and get silver. The Chinese have 3.5 trillion US dollars, and they're spending these dollars as quickly as they can. And it will not be long before the rest of us in the world and the US will be thinking likewise. I do, as we buy things to protect our future purchase power. In the 30s, everyone wanted US dollars. Today, everyone wants to get rid of them. Buying hard assets is what you'll hear from many people in the business that I'm in. We're headed to a period of stagflation, maybe serious inflation, but stagflation for sure. And the United States will be losing the privilege of being able to print at its will of the world's reserve currency, a period that will be very inflationary. And I can tell you that before that happens, it is likely going to become quite ugly. We're living through a very uncertain atmosphere, and it's all related to politics and money. And interest rates and confidence turns overnight. Investors are not rational. There's no time when the truth takes place. China is the world's largest debt holder. Japan is the 2nd largest debt holder of US money, and they have to act on their own interest, and they are. 1.6% interest rates are not deserved by the United States. The problem is the United States can't afford to pay anymore. So they don't deserve their bond rating, and they're probably going to lose it. Discretionary spending in the United States is 36% of government spending. There's an excellent chance that the U.S. will soon be determined to be in a recession once again. I believe they already are. It's highly likely that they will be soon determined to be in a recession. 75% of their new jobs are low-wage, part-time, and often government-inspired. Unemployment is understated. Real unemployment is probably closer to 15%. Even Walmart is suffering. The end result of higher government spending, the full employment policy, and the U.S. Federal Reserve's obsession with interest rates has been a roller coaster ride along a rising path, and a rising path of inflation, which from time to time is brought under check. But each time it rises again, and after a check has been rising on a fraction of income is received along with the government tax receipts. Since time immemorial, sovereign kings, emperors, or elected parliamentarians of any sort have used magic money to acquire things or wage wars, and it just doesn't work. I'll quote Jim Grant, and I'll close. You'll rifle through history books in vain to find another monetary era like this one. A reserve currency made of paper, nothing else, is one novelty. A pan-European currency, also weightless, is a second. Chronic and immense imbalancing. A deepening deficit in America is a third. So thank you for listening longer than I intended to speak.